Need to Succeed, the podcast. This will help you get everything that you want. This will powerlift your life, give you unshakable confidence to achieve your biggest goals and wildest dreams. It's going to help you to create a life that you love and build relationships that you adore. Why am I so confident that I can give you that? This is my job. I'm a mindset and confidence coach. This is what I do for a living. I've never given these life hacks away on a podcast for free before, but that's about to change right now. So put your seatbelts on and buckle up and get ready to enjoy the ride of your lifetime. People call me the mother of motivation, the confidence queen, the person that you go to for positivity. This podcast will motivate and empower you to run at your life, and the fastest way you can do that is to use these techniques, the same ones that I've used in my own life and the ones that I use and encourage for my clients. The only question that is left to ask you is, are you ready? Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to Everything You Need to Succeed, the podcast. We are back and we are talking step 6. I hope you enjoyed step 5.
I did, but I'm wondering why you're wearing a Christmas hat today in the studio.
Well, I'm wearing a Christmas hat in the studio because we are recording the podcast, and I know that when this episode drops, it will be Christmassy time.
Wow, I'm excited so we can get all Christmassy and festive. And I've got to say, that's a very nice sequined Christmas hat.
Oh,
so
thank you.
Today, Christmas is all about feeling good. And it's all about food. I love Christmas food, which ties into step 6.
Yes, it really does. Step 6 is called Feed Your Mind with the Good Stuff.
Yum.
Definitely. And I love this step because it's really important that we take control of all the things that we're being fed. Meaning subliminally, we see things all the time. We're able to consume and absorb things that we have no control over. So this step is all about making sure that if you really are going to go along that roadmap and really get the thing that you want, that you make sure that you are very protective of the things that you let come into your environment. Make sure that the food that you're eating, this is a metaphor for, if you want to be fit and healthy and you want to be able to create a body that's chiseled, you're not going to get up out of bed and then just start drinking Coke, which we spoke about, or drinking, You're
just thinking about what I had for my lunch earlier, which was a sausage roll and a can of fizzy drink.
Exactly, yeah. So what I'm saying is when you're determined about what it is that you want, you are very specific about what you feed your physical body with. Just like your mind, if you wake up and then roll over and grab your mobile phone and then have no control over what's coming into your mind, this is not a great place to start. So this is all about taking full control over what you allow into your subconscious mind.
So is it one of those things like what goes in is what comes out? The same with food, which is not really a nice thing to think about. But everything that you are is what you've eaten, isn't it? You are what you eat, and you are what you read. You are what you learn. You are what you see. You are everything you see, everything you hear, everything that you absorb makes you the person that you are. And not just facts either. So entertainment, the people that you hang around with, the interactions that you have, the situations you put yourself in, all of those things are contributing to your sort of mental diet. Yeah, your mental diet. I love that but when you realize that, you start to get really, really protective over what you allow in. It could be conversations that you decide to engage in. Gossiping is something that is not great. If you're always gossiping, it means that you're creating this kind of negative energy within you. If you're on a mission and you know where you're going, you don't have time to stop and get involved in things that are not going to help you move closer to your goal. And that is stuff like watching the news, or unless you want to be a news reader or you're a politician. I think watching the news is important because it's good to be well informed, and it depends what your goal is, but your goal may well require knowing what's going on in the world. Yes, if that's your goal, but if it's not, then it's just going to be a distraction, because you have to ask yourself, what is a distraction? What is it that's taking up my time? They say we all have 24 hours in a day, but it's how we use those 24 hours, And I heard Molly May talk about it, didn't she? And people went mad about that comment, we all have 24 hours in a day. But actually, yeah, they were like, no. What did she say? I think she said everyone gets 24 hours in a day, and it's about how we use those 24 hours. So what's wrong with that? Exactly. But a lot of people said, well, actually, I'm a mum and I've got children and I've got this and I've got that, and we're not beautiful and we don't have
companies paying us. But that's not what she was saying. She was saying along the lines of whether you have children or you don't have children, or you come from a poor background or a rich background, or, you know, whatever your circumstances are, you get to decide how you're going to use your time.
I think having children is more important than anything, because for me, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to spend a couple of hours in the morning with the kids. When I get home from work, I'm going to set aside time that I can spend with them before they go to bed, and I'm going to do work after 7 o'clock when they're in bed. I've got 3 hours to get some work done in front of the telly, and then I need to be asleep for 7 or 8 hours. You can still, you know, having kids doesn't mean that you don't have 24 hours and you decide how you're going to divide them up.
Yeah, and I think the argument really was more about, well, someone might be a single parent, someone might have that. Everyone has their own circumstances, but this is what I know to be true, is each one of us is here to do something, to be something, to achieve something. And we all have goals and dreams, whether we admit it or not. So once you've made a decision about what it is that you want, there is always someone somewhere who's had it much harder than you have, who've managed to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. So we're not allowed to say, oh, well, it's not fair because they have this, they have that. And one of the things that we can do to allow ourselves to be able to reach our goals faster is monitor what we allow in. You know, where we spend our time. I love watching movies, but I have to say to myself, that is not going to be a good use of my time. What is the best use of my time right now? So if I'm in my car and I'm driving, I treat my car like a university on wheels. I get in the car, I put some audiobooks on, I make sure that I'm learning and growing and developing. Or I could put on music, but I have to ask myself, am I a DJ? Am I a radio person? Am I somebody where me listening to music for 3 hours on a journey, is that going to add value to my life, or is it just going to make me happy?
Have you got a student union bar in the back of your car then as well?
No, I do not.
No, that would be fun.
That would be nice, just to have, like, you know, be able to collaborate and communicate with other people and
that is actually
socialise.
A big part of the university experience, is the interaction and kind of learning to be away from home for the first time and kind of making friends and those kind of social interactions.
Yeah, and having the responsibility as well. And I was speaking to my nephews who are both at university, and I said, you know, what's some of the hardest things that you've had to do? And they said, you know, it's about understanding who to spend your time with, because the first time you go to uni, you might meet someone and you might be accidentally aligned with people through no choice of your own. And then sometimes what happens is in life, we've still got friends of people that we met at uni or we met at a job we did, but really we have to be able to say, is this just because it's a coincidence that we met each other and now we're stuck together? You
can pick your friends. You can't pick your family, but you can pick your friends. And I think at university, a lot of people hang around with the people that they meet first in that first week, who are just the people you happen to be in the same halls of residence with, or on your course, or not even having that in common, just somebody that you met in the student union bar on the first night.
And then you feel like you have to be attached to them.
Yeah.
But and it's okay if you don't have any goals and you're just kind of bimbling through it and just seeing how it goes. That back to what we said in episode 5, see how it goes. But if you're determined and you say, well, actually, I'm not going to see how things go. I'm going to carve out my life and my time so that I get the most out of this experience, so that I'm able to perform at my best, I can be at optimum level. When you decide that, it's much easier for you to be selective, because you can say, whenever I'm with this person, all they want to do is moan and complain. That doesn't help me feel good about myself and I leave feeling drained. Edit. And that's what we can do in every area of our life. And I'm not saying being harsh, but I mean, feed your mind with the good stuff. This is all about just taking a step back and saying, what am I allowing into my subconscious mind? Is what I'm allowing in, is it helping me? Is it serving me? Is it helping me to grow? If it's not, let it go. And it's about having the confidence and the strength to say, I know that it's fun doing this, but it's not going to help me. And it's about breaking some of those habits, because habits are really easy to form, but they're hard to break. And it's about breaking some of the habits that aren't going to allow you to get where you want to be. And you cannot get where you want to be if you do not let go of some of the things that are kind of keeping you stuck in place. And that means giving up some things like fizzy drinks, or scrolling through social media at the very beginning of your day.
I think stopping being friends with people is easier than you might think. And you know who those people are that are just a drain on your energy. They're just negative the whole time. And all it takes is just stop replying to their texts. It's really easy.
But I know that it's really difficult sometimes, you know, to stop doing what you've always done, because it's very easy to get into that habit. But that's why it's important to have a goal. That's why it's important to have vision, because the desire to succeed has to outweigh the desire to stay the same. So when you think to yourself, it's so much easier just to do what you've always done because you just click into place. But when you actively grab the steering wheel and you kind of like jolt it into a different lane, what happens is when you do that, your self-esteem rises because you say, I'm in control. I'm actually in control of my life. I don't actually have to do that. Like not responding to somebody or feeling that need that I always, people pleasers. Oprah says, the disease to please. A lot of people have that.
It's like not being able to say no. And the worst thing is when you end up just feeling obliged to spend time with people that you really don't want to be around because you can't say no to them. And you just end up, spending those precious hours that you have in your day in a way that you don't really want to be.
Yeah, and it's about being aware as well. Because if you find somebody who, let's say for instance, you don't have a goal and you haven't listened to step 5 and you are just kind of going through the motions of life, what happens is that you now become on other people's timelines. So if you think about timelines on Facebook, but timelines, other people's timelines, you end up being part of their timeline rather than creating your own.
It's like you're not in your own film. It's like you're an extra in somebody else's movie rather than being the star of your own show.
Exactly that. And that's really the key. And this is what I talk about a lot when we talk about success. Being the director of your movie. Being the main character in your movie. And making sure that you do not become an extra in somebody else's movie. Because that happens a lot when you don't have a script. When you don't have a vision. But when you have a vision of this is what I want my life to look like. This is how I want it to end. This is what I want to achieve. These are my goals. Then when someone says to you, hey, come and play this part in my life. You go, I've got to play my part in my life. Because if I don't play my part, it's going to get to the end of the movie and I'm not going to be where I want to be. Or my life is going to end up a flop instead of a blockbuster hit. Now, if I come and be an extra in your blockbuster movie, that's going to be great for you. But what about for me?
Have you ever seen a film where Tom Cruise is an extra?
Never. It's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Could you imagine him just having even a cameo role? Does Tom Cruise have a cameo role?
I think that's different though. But that's, no, he doesn't really do that.
He doesn't do that either because he's set his standards on what he's willing to do. Now, what I'm not saying is be selfish and obnoxious and close the doors to everyone who you love and who love you. But what I'm saying is it's really good when you can actually articulate your goals to people that you care about. Because for me, with my family, I sat everyone down and I said, look, this is my goal. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I see. This is my vision. Do you see it as well? They all said yes. I said, well, we're going to work towards that then.
And how many of the members of your family got through the cull as you were deciding which ones aren't useful to have in your life? Did you say, right, the family members that are in this room, you're through. You're still part of my film. The guys I'm going to talk to in a minute, not so lucky. But you guys, you're through to the next stage of the process.
Well, that's funny that you should say that because I suppose for me, it's me, my other half and our 2 sons. We're the core main characters in my movie. That's it. But then the people, the extra family, like the cousins and the aunties and uncles and, grandparents, they're all part of the movie. But for the movie to succeed, I need to make sure that my core actors are involved and on board, which means that if mummy gets home late on a Friday evening because I'm recording a podcast, you know why? Because the podcast is part of the plan. It's part of the way to get out there and let more people know about my methodology. And they're on board, which means when I walk in, they don't go, Mummy, why are you never here? They understand. But I think if you're just doing it on your own and you're not communicating why you're doing what you're doing and the whole team are not on board, then what happens is there becomes friction right there in your green room, let's say.
Yeah.
And you don't want friction there because that's the place where the people in the green room are there to hold you and support you on the days when you've driven from Brighton back home and it's taking you 5 hours and your suitcase is full and you can't be bothered to carry it out of the car and your legs ache and you're tired, that's when I say to Terry, can you get my suitcase out of the car for me? And he's like, sure, babes. Because he's able to get it out of the car for me because he knows that I did something which was towards the goal. But if I didn't explain to him and he thought I was just with my friend taking photos and selfies, I don't think it'd be as helpful to get the suitcase out of the car.
Yeah, you see, I've got the opposite because I'll have had a really busy weekend and I've been out of the house doing events and stuff, and I'll finally get home on a Sunday night absolutely exhausted, and my wife will say, well, look, this is the washing up you need to do. I've been using all the dishes and pans, I've cooked a cake, I've left a massive pile of washing up. It's your job, not mine. Get to it, boy.
Right, yeah, and I've been in that situation before, and I find that it is easy. Well, if I'm going to put myself in your wife's shoes, I know what it's like to be at home with the children and the other one be out, whatever they're doing. But then when they come home, there is that feeling of now it's your turn. But what I think is what's really important is when you can communicate and everyone's on board, everyone wants the movie to be a success, then it's about making sure that we all step up in our places that we need to step up in. And there will be times, when I'm sure Terence has had the children, done the school run, done everything. I've been up and down the country flying around, having my selfie taken with this person and being waited on and staying in a 5-star hotel. And I walk in the door and he wants to be like, take these children, I'm going. But, because he knows that it's to do with the overall goal, he's much more able to say, yeah, it's cool, babe, sit down, I'll give you a foot massage. But it hasn't always been that way. And it's about, it comes back down to step 6. Feed your mind with the good stuff. If you are all on the same vibe and on the same page and you're all consuming the same stuff, so we read the same books, we listen to the same audiobooks, we're constantly feeding into the personal development stuff. What happens is that helps us move to actually step 7, which is who you surround yourself with. Because you want in your green room and you want the people in your life to understand why when the news comes on my TV at home and I'm like, turn that off, rather than him going, he knows it's because I don't want to hear that in my ear because it's going to take me away from my mission. Just like the work I do is all about empowering people, inspiring people. I can't listen to every sad story about a child because it will emotionally get in the way of me doing the work that I'm doing for these young people. So too much information can actually make it harder for you to perform at your best. But that's by me saying, I'm going to switch that off. I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to listen to that. And being really, I suppose it's being really conscious about what you allow into your mind.
I think also it's like you say, you've got only a certain capacity of compassion as a human. And it's where you decide to use it. And if you're using your compassion on strangers on the news or people that you actually know, what's going to be the most important thing way for you to spend that compassion energy?
Yeah, compassion energy. And that makes sense. And it's a difficult thing to do. If you're listening to this, it's because you're somebody who says, actually, I want to know everything I need to succeed. I'm giving you the steps, and these steps are difficult. If they were easy, everyone would do it. The steps are simple, but they're not easy. And this is all about what is it that I want and what am I willing to give up to have it? And maybe it's actually living the life that a lot of people are living, which is just going through the motions and letting be pulled left, be pulled right, and just going with the flow. But I think going with the flow is very dangerous. Because if you go with the flow, your parents say, if your friends all jump off a cliff, would you? I know my mum used to say that. Like, well, my friends are doing it. If all your friends jumped off a cliff, would you? And it's a bit like that mindset of just because everyone else is doing this, how does that get you to where you want to be? And once you've asked that question, sometimes you have to swim against the tide.
Sometimes you have to look over the edge of the cliff and see what they're jumping into and understand, because there might be a trampoline, there might be a swimming pool. They might all just suddenly be having some kind of suicide pact, in which case probably don't follow them.
Don't follow them, exactly. And it's about being willing to lean over the edge. That's what I think. It
takes a lot of guts to lean over the edge of a cliff, and it's probably not a good idea either because, it can crumble and then you end up falling down.
Yep, that could happen too. Now, I'd love to just share something. So imagine your brain has 2 minds. So you've got your subconscious mind and you've got your conscious mind. Now imagine your conscious mind is like a large basketball and your conscious mind is like a small tennis ball that sits on top of your large basketball. So you've got the subconscious mind and the conscious mind.
So I've got 2 balls.
Yeah, 2 balls. Now one of them's small and one of them's big.
Often the case.
But the bigger ball is the subconscious mind. And this has
the
so
one on
much
the left.
power. Okay, thanks for letting us know your bigger ball is on the left. Now, what I want you to do is imagine the bigger ball has installed a CCTV camera. So this camera can see everything. It sees everything, that even things that you don't even realize that you've seen. So everything that you see, everything you hear, everything you feel is recorded and stored onto this subconscious mind, which is like a personal hard drive. Now, every single one of us, when we're born, you know, with a blank slate. But then through life, we start to have imprints onto this blank slate. And it's things that we see, hear, what the neighbours say, what our brothers and sisters say. And then it builds up our belief system. So
it's like a Polaroid picture that's just slowly developing.
Yeah.
You know what those are?
Yeah, when you shake it, and it's slowly developing. But what happens is in our minds, in our subconscious mind, it's full of things that have developed, and then they've become ingrained in us. And that's where like strong belief systems come. So what we need to do moving forward is we now need to make sure that we are being conscious about what we're allowing to be placed in our subconscious mind.
The thing is, the harder you try and forget something, the more you remember it.
Exactly. So my hack is it's about imprinting new stuff. It means if you're focusing all your energy on bringing these new visions, you want to remove anything that could get in the way, infiltrate. So it's like infiltrating your hard drive. You want to be really careful that you don't just let things slip in, because we're not in control of everything we see and hear, and you know, we're not in control of everything, but we can decide, am I going to wake up in the morning? Am I going to go straight and scroll on my social media where anything can come in front of my eyes that I have no control over?
So it's like your browsing history. It's very hard once you've been on a website to delete that completely from your browsing history.
Yeah, it is. And it's very, like you said, difficult to unsee something that you've seen. So if somebody says, oh, do you know what? Going out at night in the dark is dangerous. So the next time you're out in the dark, you're like, this is dangerous. But that's just because one person has said that. Or talking to strangers is really bad. Why is talking to strangers bad? I talk to strangers all the time. You know, that's why people get so people get so uncomfortable when someone says hello. The people are like, what do you want? It's like, that's why people are so hostile.
I think it's just one of those things you teach children for their safety, and then it carries on through life. That as an adult, you know when it's not a safe situation to be talking to a stranger, and when you know you're queuing up for a pasty and the person in front of you in the queue says, oh, nice weather we're having today, I refuse to speak to you, you are a stranger.
Understanding the information at the time when the information has been given to you, and knowing what to disregard and what to keep. And if we go through our belief systems, so many of us have beliefs that are hindering us now. I'll tell you this one thing. When I was growing up, we used to have this thing where people say, don't walk on the third drain. Like when you're walking, don't stand on the third drain, don't stand on 3 drains, it's bad luck. And I used to be one going, yeah, don't stand on. I'd walk and push my sister so she doesn't walk on it. You know, jump over things not to stand on it. And then I thought, why is this? And then I heard somewhere the reason this came up is because in London, when they first put 3 drains together, they hadn't put them securely together. So what's happening is people were standing on the third drain and they were going down the manholes, like into.
So it's just disappearing into the Bakerloo line or something.
Yeah, and it was dangerous, and that's where that came from. And now that led all the way back 40 miles up north to where I live, where this has become a thing. And even today, people won't walk on 3 drains because of something that they were told by somebody who didn't have all the information. And that's the power of other people's opinions and stories. So that's why you've got to feed your mind with the good stuff, the stuff that's going to help you.
Yes, absolutely. And also never walk under a ladder, because you don't know what's going to happen.
That's what my mum always said. My mum had so many myths. Don't walk under the ladder. Don't put new shoes on the table. Don't leave washing in the washing machine on Good Friday. Only eat fish on Good Friday.
You meant to throw salt over your shoulder if you spill it as well.
Yeah, throw salt. We've been raised by very similar parents. And
never smash a mirror.
No.
That's 7 years until
luck.
things get back to normal again.
Yeah, and these are all old wives' tales that we've been fed. That like, don't walk under a ladder. Like, I know intellectually that doesn't make sense. But yeah, I still won't walk under a ladder.
Well, you never know when it might fall down.
I won't do it. And also, have you heard the one about the magpies? 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret to never be told.
Wow, you know all of the magpies. What if you see 8 of them, though?
I've never seen 8 before. I've never even seen 7 before. It's normally 2, 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy. Because I'm searching for the second one. I'm like, there's going to be joy. Episode 6, step 6. What I would like to say to you that you can take away from this is the task. I want you to, every night before you go to bed.
Oh, we got homework.
Yep, you got homework. And the reason you got homework is you've had literally 6 episodes without any homework. So we're giving you some homework now.
Oh, I hate homework.
Yeah, okay. We'll just say that you're just going to have some little bits of after work.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
After work, yeah. Okay, right. So this is what it says in the book. Every night before you go to bed, do a quick review of your progress. Ask the question, what went well today? What could I have done better? If I had a chance to do today again, what would I do differently? This exercise is great because it gets you to review and improve. Then choose something motivational or educational that you would like to look at the following morning. So it's preparing the night in advance. Every morning when you wake up, say out loud, something great is going to happen today. Before you reach for your mobile phone to check your emails or messages or status updates, ask yourself, what new thing can I learn today so I can improve and so that I don't stay the same person that I was yesterday? Then lean over and then start reading something. You know, not everyone likes books, but you can get an audio book. And what I would say is that this is one thing that I learned. Most people don't even read 1 book a year. But imagine if you read 52 books a year in your chosen industry. I think the most important is to really be specific at one thing. Become excellent. Get paid excellent level. So if you think about a brain surgeon, they're paid because they specialize in that rather than being a general practitioner.
I mean, if you're a brain surgeon, it wouldn't matter how good you are at doing a waltz because that's not part of being a brain surgeon. Doesn't matter if you can play the violin.
It doesn't matter. And I think that's the important thing. If you want to be excellent, and we do cover that on step 8, if you want to be excellent, you have to be willing to decide what you want to do and be the best at that. And we will talk about that further along. But all I'm asking you to do now is just start really reviewing your day. Pay attention to what you're spending your time on and start cutting some things out. Because if you really want to get to the goal, you really want to get, to the destination, then the thing that's going to get you there faster is if you get rid of some of the dead weight. And some of the dead weight is some of the things that you're doing every day that is wasting your time and moving you further away from your goal.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much. Another insightful podcast. We're going to be back next time. What's the next step?
The next step is pick your A team, which is all about who you surround yourself with.